talking. We're all done talking. Please write down today's lesson, division of fractions with like denominator. If you have a question, you need to raise your hand. Right hand, she's correct. Right hand pages are always odd. Yeah. On the what pages?
On the not odd, but the even pages.
Here we go. I gotta teach you. I'm not going back to when I wasn't here Thursday and Friday. Okay, so we talked about what parts of a division problem looks like, right? What page was that? Who got that? Who got that? What page? Zeta.
29.
Everybody on page 29. We talked about parts of a division. Go ahead. Parts of a division, like which one is the dividend and the divisor and you can't raise your hand if you don't know what page. Thank you, Amber Rose.
The divisor.
No, what page is that on when we did all that? Does everybody have that on page 15? Look back on page 15. We talked about the 3 different ways that we can write a division problem. And the answer to a division problem, everybody said on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Is a quotient. Okay. There's also a way to model, and I just want to refresh something. That if I need to model, it's called a bar model. And if I need to model, say, let's say 3/5. If I have to model 3/5, I take my total and I break it up into parts. My denominator tells me how many pieces I have. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does everybody see my 5 pieces? That's being represented by my denominator. And my top number tells me how much I actually have. So I would shade in what's being represented by my numerator. 1, 2, 3. This is my model of 3/5. That's called a bar model. You don't want to write that down? Because if I put it on the board, it goes on our paper. That's today's lesson. We're on page 31, everyone. Especially if it looks brand new to you. Real quick, don't shade in like this, please. Because when you shade in like this, you often don't see how many parts there are. Okay? So please make sure you shade in individually. Don't shade in like that.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you can see it individually. Okay? Here's my lesson for today. Need someone to read my aim and my think about it. Reading my aim. Marvin, read my aim. Ayamati, read the think about it, please.
Students will be able to divide fractions.
Jonah has 6/8 of an apple left over. He wants to share his apple with his friends. If he shares 3/8 of the whole apple with each friend, how many friends can he share his apple with? Draw a model to help you solve. Represent the problem and solution using any method.
All right. So you will have 5 minutes to work on the think about it. Please make sure you are showing your thinking. And utilizing the entire 5 minutes. Begin.
Whatever you
What's my name? Oh. Don't worry.
put your binder up, please? That's not true. Can you put your binder up on the floor? I can't get that. Thank you.
2/1 is the same as 1. Yeah, so think about that. There you go. Good job. Explanation. Good job. Explanation. Very nice. Is there a way to show? Is there a way to show this on this model alone? Like, what do you notice?
Because when I shaded in 6, I knew that if I divided it by 3, I would get 2. And that shows that 2 friends would get 3 apples. That's how many friends you could choose.
So could you how could you show 2 here?
We're writing then.
Go ahead and get a pen for me.
I could take away the
Could you
3.
do in 3 of these? I'm kind of showing you. How could you do it 3 of them?
Oh, I could divide it.
Like draw a circle around them. There's 1, grab the 3/8 and then
And then I would circle 3. I would do another 3. Yes.
and then what do you do with those 3?
I would circle those 2.
Let's see. And how many groups do you have?
That's 2 groups.
Nice.
Oh.
Very nice.
Oh.
Don't erase. Don't erase. Leave it.
Thank you. Keep going.
Go ahead and track up here. I have scholar work that I want to share up here on the TV. Can I get think time? Sorry, I chopped off some of that, but here's all the scholar work. I need think time from everyone. Thank you. Go ahead and analyze this work up here. And I want you to be able to, I want you to be thinking, what did this scholar do in order to solve this? And what do you agree with? Yeah. Go ahead and turn your talk to your neighbor and say what this scholar did and whether you agree or disagree with this work. Go ahead.
So I see that they do a barn.
I wanna know why this, why you.
Three of those parts because that's how many people want to share with each friend.
And I live with them. My parents are leftovers. This is how much we share, and this is how much we share.
You're not supposed to divide them, but you have to put them on the bottom. So the people that doing the thing, they know that the answer is 2 8, not just 2.
I still don't understand why you think it's 2 8s.
Because it's 2 8 because look, 6 divided by 3 is 2, right? And then the 8 divided by the 8, you can't do that. It won't work. I mean, it works, but like,
What are
like
you?
the 8 and
What
the
question are you answering? How many? What?
Thank you.
8. How many friends can he share his apple with?
Do you have 2/8 of a friend?
2/8 of a friend? Dang. I got whole friends. What's 2/8 look like?
It's 2, but like,
Wait.
right? The whole thing is
So your
practice.
rationale then, if your rationale is 6 is divided by 3 is what? So are you also saying that then that 8 divided by 8 is 8?
No, I'm saying that the answer stay the same, but you should still put it there.
Coming back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Do you want me to get this?
Yes, because Callie actually.
This is Mrs. Walker in Kirksey's room. Is Callie in the classroom?
I sent Callie across the way
She sent Callie across the way
to the office.
to the office.
Sorry, I know you were going back. Who else?
I don't know who that was.
Just because she hasn't come back.
Sounded like in the office, Miss Johnson, maybe.
Elijah, can you tell me what this scholar did and how this scholar solved it? Track Elijah. Hold on for a second. I need everyone tracking Elijah. Thank you.
I think they split the shaded halves in half so then they could get so they basically just divided the shaded halves.
Okay. So you're saying that, did anybody agree or disagree with that? So you said that they split it, so mathematically, what is that? How do,
They divided it.
okay, they divided it. Go ahead and Bill.
I also see that they labeled the equation.
Labeled it in what sense?
6/8 represents the leftovers, and 3/8 is how much he's sharing.
Very good.
And then the reason why they got 2/8 is because they subtracted 8 over 8 minus 6/8.
Wait a minute, I don't see 2 8s. What do you mean? Say that again?
It says 2/8 minus 1, and they got that.
Oh, this is this 2 8, is this 3 8s minus 1? Is that what you're writing? What does this represent, Amber Rose?
It just represents one friend.
Did you hear her? Did everybody hear her? The 3 8 represents what? What did she say, Imani?
The 3 8 represents one friend.
And what does this 3 8 represent?
That represents the second friend.
Yeah, she wasn't saying minus. She wasn't subtracting. Okay? Do you see that now, Hasir? Okay. So that brings us to our first fence post. So we use, I'll come right back here. So, actually, let me go back a little bit. So how do we know when we have to divide? How do we know when we have to divide? JJ.
When you have to divide 80. Have to divide when you have to divide the one side that's shaded on the other one side that's shaded.
What if we don't have a model? How do we know when we have to divide? How do we know when we have to divide? Hassim?
When the problem talks about sharing.
When it talks about sharing, yes. And then, yes?
When the problem involves some form of a fraction.
Ooh, okay, when it involves some form of a fraction. Yes.
When the factors are adjusted.
Okay, so let me go back. So looking back at, so looking back at here, right here, what was shaded here? What did, this is Amber Rose's work. What did she shade? What did she shade? What does that represent? The shaded portion, what does that represent? What does it represent? What does it represent?
It represents the 6/8 of the apple.
What does that represent?
That
Mathematically, what does that represent?
that means that since he ate only 2/8 of the apple, that the part that she shaded is how is 6/8 of the apple, which is what is left of the apple.
Still looking for my 6/8 represents what? I hear you saying what they have. Well, what would we call that?
Given.
That would be, yeah, if that's what you have, that is your total. Would you all agree? What I have is my total, okay? Isn't that always what it is? If this is what I have, this is everything I have, that is my total. So how do I know when how do I know when I have to divide? How do I know when I have to divide? Hassim,
When it already tells you your total.
say that again.
When it already tells you your total.
When it tells me my total, and then
And then it involves. And then it talks about sharing.
yes, very good. So when we're dividing answers, the question asks how many equal sized groups go into the total. So here is my first fence post. So how many equal sized groups go into the total? That's my first fence post. Question.
Oh, I thought you answered
Oh, it's a question. No, well, that's actually what division answers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and focus in on this. This is exactly what I saw that Amber did, Amber Rose did. Amber Rose took that total here, and then, she broke that up. So looking here, let's focus in a little bit more on what we have. I want to know if you agree with the answer that we have here of 2. Go ahead and let me see think time and be able to tell me why you agree with this work. Let me see think time and then go ahead and analyze the work that's up here. Okay, turn and talk to your neighbor and say whether you agree or disagree and why.
Equals your apple, right? So basically saying the I is 6.
I agree because the top one represents our total, and the bottom bar shows 1 of those first part, and you get 2 of those to get our total. So that's just 2.
So what is the question asking? What question are you answering?
Do you agree with this work?
No, in the problem? What was the problem in this question you were answering?
Jonah has 6 of an apple, 6 eighths of an apple.
How many
friends can share his apple?
how many friends? So how many friends can you share with?
2.
And how much of the apple will each friend get?
3.
Coming back in 5, 4,
What?
3, 2, 1. I want to know, do you agree with this scholar's work, and if so, why? Lalo, go ahead and share with what you talked about in your group. Track Lalo.
The 1 and the 2 are showing how much friends he could share with.
Yes.
So 3 eighths. 3 eighths of each friend.
So 3/8 would,
Go for a friend.
3/8 for each friend?
Yes.
Okay,
2 friends.
go ahead and Bill.
I agree because when you divide with fractions, you have to turn your quotient into a whole number so that you know your whole answer. Because when you turn it into a fraction, then you could get it confused with something else.
You don't have to change your, go ahead and respectfully.
I respectfully disagree with the
Track over here.
because the only reason you would change your fraction into a whole number is if the fraction is over 1. Because
Okay.
that'd be a whole number.
Alright, so I actually don't wanna know necessarily about whether it's the fraction or not. I'm asking just about this right here. I wanna know, do you agree with my answer of 2 and why? And Lalo, restating what Lalo said that each friend gets 3/8. So what does 3/8 represent? 3/8 represents what? What does 3/8 represent, Marvin?
6 eighths?
3/8 does not represent 6/8, it's not the same thing. 3/8 represents Amber Rose.
How much of the apple you want to show each friend?
Yes, it represents how much, Hasim? What were you gonna say?
It represents how much of the apple each friend gets.
Okay, yes, and that's the same thing. So that's actually what I call my group size. I call that my group size. So each friend is getting 3/8 of that apple, okay? Does everybody understand and see that? I need for you to be tracking up here. That each of the friends is getting 3/8 out of that total. So what equation can we write to model the problem and the solution? What's my equation then? What's my equation to model that, Elijah?
6/8 divided by 3/8.
And what does 6/8 represent?
6/8 represents the total amount of apple that's left.
And the 3/8 is?
How much apple each friend gets.
And mathematically, let's not always talk about apple. Let's talk about, so this is my total, and then this would be my, it is a divisor, but it's my group size. Okay, so I take my total and I'm dividing it by my group size. So what do you notice about the relationship between my dividend, my divisor, and also the quotient? What do you notice about the relationship between the three of those? Let's remember that my dividend in this problem is my 6/8. My divisor is the 3/8, and my quotient is 2. What do you notice about the relationship between the three of them? Turn and talk to your neighbor. What is the relationship between the three of those?
The relationship between the three of them is that they all contain 8, which means that all of them have an 8 like their whole look. 6/8, that has an 8, 3/8 has an 8, and then 2/8, or just 2. So the relationship is the pattern keeps on going 8 to 8 to 8. The only thing that's getting different is the shape it is.
What do you notice about the numerators and the quotient?
The numerators, oh, the numerators are kind of going up when it goes from 6 to 3 back to, so it goes down by 3. 6, 3, 2.
What's the relationship between 6, 3,
Yeah.
and 2?
Oh, that they're all going down by 2.
What do you know about 6 and 3? And
8 and what is 8 in the whole 6 shape.
Coming back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What do you notice about specifically my dividend and my divisor? What are you noticing, Jalea? They have the same divisor. They have the same divisor. Does everybody see? Go ahead, Brooklyn. Not necessarily, but building off of what Jalea is saying, that they have the same divisor. Excuse me, they have the same denominator. They have the same denominator, and what goes into each other? So, a little bit louder, Lottie.
6 and 6 go into each other evenly.
How many times? Very good. That six divides 3 2 times. Okay? And when is it that that's happening? When I have what?
You get a whole number where the top and when the bottom half, the denominator is 1.
Talk about more similarities. It doesn't. Okay, I guess if it is 1, but yes.
how do we get to the 1, though?
Yeah.
When you divide the
Okay.
Because the denominators are what? Why do you divide them to get 1?
You said it. The denominators are very good. So when my denominators are the same, okay. So when my denominators are the same, what does it look like I can do? When my denominators are the same, what can I do? Hasim?
Just divide the numerator.
Very good. I just divide my numerators, and that takes me to my conjecture for today. So the quotient of 2 fractions with like denominators, meaning the same denominators, is the quotient of my numerators. Let's go ahead and test our conjecture.